Okay, so a topic that I wanted to dive in a little bit farther. If you've seen the previous Instagram TV video where I talk about when to use certain intensifiers in your training and what kind of different training stimuli you can use and pair with those intensifiers to achieve the desired result, this will be a little bit of an expansion on that video, and instead of taking a general look at the different intensifiers, what I'm going to do in this video is break down one particular intensifier, and that's rest pause sets. And I spoke about this a little bit earlier with my story today in regards to my workout, talking about looking to incorporate more rest pause sets into my training and where does the value lie when programming them. Because of course, with everything, if you're not ready for a particular additive or a particular variation to a stimulus, your body may begin to work against you rather than for you. So first off, with rest pause sets, what are rest pause sets and how and where would you incorporate them in your training? Rest pause sets, simply put, is you will perform your regular set, whatever load you have on for a given rep range. That could be anywhere from 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12 plus, whatever it may be. You're going to perform your set as normal until you get toward the end of the set. So what you're going to do if you have a rest pause set program is generally you're going to stop about 1 rep from complete muscle failure. So those who know me and know how I program, I like to program training to failure. So all you're going to do is simply stop a rep before that. Once you finish that, what you're going to do is you're going to take a brief rest, as the name implies. That brief rest being anywhere from about 10 to 20 seconds, just enough time for you to recoup, get a few deep breaths in before you perform your rest pause set. And all you do with your rest pause set, you don't change the weight or anything. What you do is simply go back and perform the set again. Of course, there's going to be a drop off in reps, but that's the goal. So that's where it will vary how far you actually take that set to failure, because what I've done in the past is I haven't actually stopped 1, maybe 2 reps from failure, instead performed a rest pause set after I hit complete failure on the initial set, and then went to attempt the rest pause only to get maybe 1 or 2 reps, if that. But if you stop about, like I said, 1 rep before complete failure on your first set, you're going to have a good amount of success with rest pause sets. And like I said, it will vary from person to person depending on how well you're able to move a particular weight within a particular rep range as well. So if you're working anywhere from, let's say, 6 to 8 reps in your first set as an example, your rest pause set may be around 3, 4 reps. Again, that's completely depending on the person, but don't expect to get the same number of reps that you did on your first set, because of course you're still not hitting complete muscle failure, but you are training to a point of exhaustion. And with rest pause training, one particular advantage that comes to mind, especially for me, and that's why I brought it up because it's so applicable to me a lot of the time, is this is a really good method to implement if you're training alone, which I tend to do a lot. So what this will allow you to do is, instead of hitting complete muscle failure on certain exercises where safety may be an issue, so think of a squat, a bench press, where you would have to really work some magic to get out of the bottom of a squat, the bottom of a bench press, if you fail, which muscle failure generally with my programming is the desired result. Again, there will be exceptions to that, like anything in training. But what the rest pause set will allow you to do, it'll allow you to use the load that you would normally, but all you're going to do is you're going to rack the weight before you hit failure. Then rest for a little bit, perform a few more reps with failure. So with that, I will always say seek out a spot if possible first off. Whether you're doing a rest pause set or not, especially if you know you're going to be anywhere near failure on an exercise that, like I said, I gave a few examples, your presses, your squat variations, where you know that if you do hit muscle failure, it's not like you're able to just rack the weight where you are. So that's a little bit of an advantage to the rest pause training. Also with rest pause training, it will allow you to use heavy loads, but also, like I've been saying, extend the sets farther. So it may only be a minute 1 or 2 rep difference using a rest pause set as opposed to just performing a straight set. It's still going to be some additional accumulated volume. So let's use an example. If I were rest pausing a leg press and I was going for 8 reps and I was going to fail at 8 reps, doing a rest pause set, I cut my set at 7 reps. And then I get back in after my 15-20 second rest, come back in, and then I get, let's say, 4 reps. So with that, that'll give us a total of 11 reps. As opposed to if I were to hit complete muscle failure on 8 or maybe even a 9th rep, you'll see there's a few rep difference. That can add up over time, but of course, always look at your programming. See where you can intelligently program these rest pause sets, because with that in mind, the farther and farther you push that set to and beyond failure, you're going to have to recognize that your nervous system is going to take a beating from that, especially with that added intensity. So that's just something you're going to have to monitor over time with your training. Make sure your recovery is there. Make sure, but the next time you get into a particular training session, whether it be another muscle group that you're training the next day, or the next time you train that same muscle group that you performed your rest pause sets on, take account of how you feel, and if you need to, back off the number of rest pause sets you do, or back them off totally. If you're still making great progress without rest pause sets, I would probably say don't use them, because with a lot of intensity principles, rest pause sets, drop sets included, anything like that, I like to keep metaphorically in my back pocket. So just getting the most that I can out of straight sets, taking my sets till failure, and having it laid out pretty well to allow myself to say exactly what I need to do, exactly what I need to do to recover. It's just a much more clear outlook. But like anyone, I may have a day where something isn't feeling right. I'm not able to push the amount of weight that I want to on a particular exercise without my form losing a little bit, or even if my execution is on point, having a slight drop off in weight, or if I'm not getting a pump or something like that, then that's when I like to incorporate those intensifiers. Because if I normally have those intensifiers in and I use them constantly, one day that I may need them, my body is already somewhat adapted to that stimulus and isn't going to produce that much more of a dramatic effect. And in turn, say I was programming a rest pause set every workout, then I'd have to do 2 rest pause sets, and who knows that I even get that desired adaptation after that. And then from there, it's just leads you into a little bit closer to more of an overtraining stimulus, and that could bring up all the bad things that come from training, excess cortisol, excess inflammation, and all other health markers like that. So just keep that in mind with your programming. But like I said, this is something that I wanted to touch on in person. Rest pause sets, what they are, when to use them, and using them when you are alone is a great option, especially if you can use them, granted that you are alone, in a safe manner, whether it be on machines, dumbbells, a Smith machine, something like that, that even though you're not hitting complete muscle failure, you still don't want to put yourself in any odd positions that you may have to really get yourself out of when training close to muscle failure. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little clip about rest pause sets. Look for more training, nutrition, and supplement videos in the future. Also, check out Smithonic.com. I have a lot of videos like this where I talk training, nutrition, also articles on there and I will also post my daily workout, so the members who are on the site see that daily. And there's a lot more on the website, so definitely be sure to check that out. And thanks